This is a special report from the WYLA Education News Desk.
So hi, I'm Millian Everett, and I am an English 2 teacher at Burke High School.
And I am Edgar Johnson, and I am a government and econ teacher at Burke High School.
So our 10th grade students for the government and English portion of the class were creating graphic novels together based on a disenfranchised group. They read Things Fall Apart, and then based on what they read and the research they did on third world countries, they came together and created these graphic novels.
They looked at countries like the South Sudan, Syria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the epidemic of violence that's sweeping Central America.
We're really excited to share the stories of our students and all they've done with Charleston County Public Library.
And here they are. We hope that you enjoy their work.
All right, so my name is Jamal Waring Jr., and, my reaction to this whole thing was like, wow, they picked my school to come. I'm from Burke High School. They decided to pick my school, and we came, and, we tried our best and put as much as thought into our story. But if you think about it, it just shows how if you get a chance to do something like that, then just try your hardest and never stop. Other countries and stuff, they have it worse than us. So really, really try so hard not to try to appreciate more of your life than the bad things, because if you appreciate your life more, or appreciate your family members, because don't let one little fuss or fight separate you, because other places have them worse. But yeah, it was tough finding articles and stuff about the story, and have fun though.
Okay, so my name is Delaro Rogers, and we worked on Central America. We worked on a project about disenfranchised groups, researching them and making stories about them. And we had to base our stories that we made off of actual first-hand accounts from people. First-hand account that we actually read was from a woman named Nancy, and Nancy was saying how life was bad for most women, and then children that were about to become women because of the gangs and stuff, and how women were being abused and raped and just a lot of terrible things that you wouldn't expect to hear here in America. Well, that you wouldn't expect to hear that goes on daily, just for no reason here in America. When we created the project, we made it about a female. The female's name was Maria. She was supposedly becoming an upcoming gang member, but she really didn't want to, so she ran away. She ran away, and then a police member stops her, and then she told the police member what was going on, and he took her in, and then the word got back to Maria's actual family about who she was with. So then there was a lot of controversy going on with the gangs and then the police, and they just wanted to get Maria back.
It's your boy Drew Williams from Burke High School.
Hello, it's your boy Joshua Wright. I am a proud student of Burke High School.
Standing proud.
A proud member of the Burke High School High Stepping Marching Bulldogs, and a proud member of Gentlemen of Duty and Distinction. And we're coming to you about our graphic novel, which is on Congo.
See, in Congo, they are disfranchised. They have rebel groups, and they don't get the same opportunities that we get over here.
We were studying about young refugees, adults, and children were getting taped by the FDLR and put in the army as young soldiers.
My thoughts on this is that the United States used to do the same thing, but they had to come to a stop. It's just that the kids start at 14, and I don't understand why would they want to take kids for soldiers. Their minds not developed yet, and they planning in their minds only war. Be prepared for war. You get snatched, you can't come back.
It's not that easy being a refugee in a different country. Imagine being took by older FDLR government people and not seeing your family ever again. It's not what you want to imagine or feel ever in your life.
It was hard, man. We got it easy over here. That's what people don't understand. We got it easy. For people who say United States is lucky, we are lucky because we don't get the hardships that the other countries get. We are blessed.
We are
blessed.
People take parents and spouses and family for granted. In the Bible, it says, honor thy father and thy mother. So every day, honor your parents, honor your family members, honor everybody, because you never know when you might go or when the government might come take you. So that's the lesson that me and my fellow student Andrew got out of this story. Don't take life for granted.
Yes, and that's all today, folks, and we're out Burke High School.
My name is Haley Skipper. I'm from Burke High School. My project was on Central America. We basically learned how the women and children of the police officers were the ones that were disenfranchised because the gang members were taken over and they didn't have any control of what happened to them. So our story was about this girl named Maria. She was born into a gang member family. She told her dad that she didn't like the gang ways. So her dad would beat her and rape her, and then she got put up for adoption. She got adopted by a police officer. His family took her in, and her brother, which is also a gang member, had came back and looked for her and killed the police officers.
Good morning. My name is Aaliyah Cromwell. I am a student at Burke High School. And basically, our graphic novel was about how in Central America, people were disenfranchised. People were disenfranchised because the citizens were powerless. The gang members basically took over. The authorities were powerless also. Our story basically focused on two main characters, Anaya and Sarati. Our story starts off like this. Anaya and Sarati basically were walking from school. Gang members started to harass them. So once the authorities saw what were happening, the authorities tried to address them but end up getting threatened. You can also see how women in Central America in our story are really powerless and just looked as objects. Basically, after the gang members threatened the authorities, the gang members decided to kidnap Anaya and Sarati and abuse them, sexually assault. After the gang members released them, you can see that in Central America that there were a lot of refugees. And refugees are people who flee from the country from not having no rights. What I learned from this story is that people don't have it all. As you see, like in the United States, we basically have our rights. We could do this and do that. But in other countries, they look just as, you could say they looked as dogs. And what I really liked about this graphic novel were how we created it, and we created over the internet on a site called Canvas. We had drawing and basically bubbles. We learned it. How I feel about the area, basically Central America, is dangerous. Happens in Central America. Killings, murders, kidnappings, draft trafficking, rapes, and prostitution. It's basically we got some of the things that's down here in Charleston. And you could also see that citizens are struggling with being safe due to authorities being afraid of gang members. A refugee crisis has been caused for these reasons, but this information doesn't seem to be enough to make the news.
Hello, my name is James Snipe, and the country I focused on for my graphic novel was the Democratic Republic of Congo. What we did in this graphic novel is we were displaying the lives of disenfranchised people. We talked about what happened in certain lives. So we talked about different countries in Africa. And the country I had, the things that are going on are people are getting disenfranchised. Women are also getting raped, which is not talked about a lot, but it's happening. What I took from this project overall was that life is not as easy as it seems to everyone. Just because we are in America, we pretty much have it easy. And people in other countries are hurt by the things that they have to go through. So they have to walk about a mile, something that we didn't have to do since about the early 1900s. But they are walking for months just to get to a refugee camp. And not all of them had poor lives. Some of them had great lives. Just the fact that some of them are activists, or some of them are, even the women are sometimes being raped. So they may not be leaving their country just because they're disenfranchised. It could be that they're leaving their country because they are being hurt in a different way. As in, our government is supposed to be a democratic government, but the problem is military groups are taking minors and making them go into war. They're training them when they're younger. So basically, people are running because their families are being ripped apart because their father has to go to war, their children has to go to war, and the mothers are left home alone. And all of these men, some men are still staying there, and women feel unsafe because men will just walk in your house. So in the graphic novel, we had a scene where they were on the route to get to the Kassia province where the refugee camp is, and the mother of the family, she was taken by some other refugees and she was molested. So in the graphic novel, we didn't show that scene because basically we're trying to let the mind see it instead of you visualizing it. Because if it was visualized, it may be too explicit for some readers to see, but we still wanted to get our point across. Overall, I would say that I learned that I may have it easy, but everybody else doesn't have it easy. I know that I probably wouldn't even be able to survive one day in their spots, and I just wish that the whole world was good, but I understand that that's not the world that we live in, so some people have to go through problems. Writing about these people, like, really help you feel that you get to see, like, and hear and, like, just watch things that happen that you would never thought would happen in America, but it happens in these other countries, and these people are really hurt by the things that they have to go through every day. People are losing their valuables, people are losing their children, and no one is helping them how they should be helped. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Masisa Kita, and I am a 10th grader at Burke High School. This class is English 2 Government and Econ. We made a project that was a graphic novel on disenfranchisement and what people who are disenfranchised went through. The country I focused on for my graphic novel was Sudan. The people in this country were disenfranchised because rebels were forcefully recruiting kids to participate in war to be soldiers. My group decided to focus on refugees in order to give the group of people a voice throughout our story. Our story starts off with a mother and 2 kids. The mother is Asha, and her 2 sons are Zayn and Kenyatta. They lived in the Nuba Mountains in South Sudan. While living there, rebels came in causing a riot, and people began fleeing because they wanted to get away. And Asha didn't want her kids to be in the war at all. While they were fleeing, they went through a lot. They got sick because of the weather. It was crazy. Finally, after a month and a half, they made it to the refugee camp in Sudan named Yida. Getting to the refugee camp, they had a lot of diseases. It wasn't good at all. All of them were sick. They either had diseases like diarrhea or like any other disease. While at the refugee camp, volunteers came, like doctors and other volunteers came to give them help because while fleeing, they lacked clean water and food. So they had to get a lot of help from the volunteers and the doctors. After a while of being a refugee at the camp, the refugees began getting healthier, and Aisha was very thankful because her sons was getting the care that they needed. We hope that people learn how difficult it is being a refugee because it's not what they really think. It's harder being a refugee when you know what they're going through, when you know how they have to get by. Like, it's really terrible. During this project, I learned that I should never take anything for granted because people are going through worse than anyone. Refugees, they go through a lot. Learning about it made it easier for me to see how hard life can be when you're not an American, really. I feel like the refugees that go through disenfranchisement are very strong and they did whatever it takes to survive. I am glad to share with everyone my graphic novel and how it is being a refugee. While doing this project, I learned a lot about how disenfranchisement can cause a struggle. The characters that I focused on, they went through a lot. And I feel as though anyone who are refugees or is going through disenfranchisement or were going through disenfranchisement are very, very strong. I mean, it's not easy at all being a refugee. I learned that throughout the story. In our class, we even had a guest speaker. He told us about his journey, and it was very heartbreaking and it was very sad. And it affected me emotionally and mentally, and I learned a lot. And now I will never take anything for granted.
Hello, my name is Keon Richards, and I'm a sophomore at Burke High School. And the country that I focused on for my graphic novel was the Congo. Basically, the whole novel was about the refugees, like, escaping because of all the war. It made me feel, like, bad because, like, I don't want people going through that. I wouldn't want to go through that either. My character in the book, his son was killed because he thought that he was a spy. The Hutu army took him away and they killed him in front of his dad. Micah is the main character in our book. He had to escape and run from the armies, and it was very sad. This was a true story. I don't want people going through that. Like, it's sad. And the war's been going on for a couple years now, and I don't think it stopped yet if I'm not mistaken. But I want people to learn value, because, like, you should value your life, because, like, we don't have to go through that. So, like, we should value our daily lives and be thankful for what God gave us. I hope they are impacted by the refugees. When they read our book, the refugees go through a lot and are still going through a lot to this day of not eating and washing in dirty water and being stank and have diseases and stuff like that. And we don't go through that. So I think we should just be grateful. At the end of our book, Micah and his family finally get to go to the USA, and, like, he cried tears of joy because because like after all him and his family been through, they finally get to leave. I hope people like feel bad for them because they are very hurtful and they went through a lot in this story and in real life as well. Congo has like an authoritarian government, so like it's ruled by like mostly armies. Like the army rules, like they really have no say so. The people have no say so, so like they have to go out with the army thing. They just control everything. So basically, the people who live there either have to follow their rules or they get killed or they have to leave. Our people left on a Monday and like they had to travel for like a month and like 2 weeks, basically almost 2 months just to get to the refugee camp. They didn't eat at all. They were starving. They walked barefoot. They had no shoes. It was cold. Some days were cold and nights were cold. To hear about that and to write about that was very, very sad because I wouldn't want nobody going through that, and like that's sad.
Good morning. My name's Tiana Harris. I'm a sophomore at Burke High School. We were doing a project in my English 2 honors class and government class. In the project, we had to learn about social issues in different countries, and my group had the country South Sudan. And we basically talked about the civil war that started because of the ex-vice president and the president at the time. This war is between 2 ethnic groups known as the Nuers and the Dinkas. In our story, the main character and her 2 brothers, they start off in the store and they're watching the news, looking at the war and all that's what's going on. And then it eventually leads up to her brothers getting kidnapped and turned into child soldiers and her being assaulted, which made her flee from her home. She's basically fighting through all the struggles of living in the time of that war. She meets a friend named Viola while fleeing the country. They basically make it through to the end. You still start to see like all the tragic events and stuff that she had to go through. And then this was really a big eye-opener for me because it basically made me want to be grateful for what I have, despite the fact that this girl is my age and she's going through all this. I just grateful for what I have, and I live in a country where I'm free. I have rights. Women are treated fairly, and I have the chance to do anything I put my mind to.